Welcome back, everybody, to Sip, Read, Repeat. Again, today is going to be a special episode. We don't have our next book. I will be announcing the next book sometime this week, so keep your eyes peeled. I was going to announce it today, but I felt like I should wait a little bit longer. It will be announced via Instagram, and it will be in YouTube and the community post as well. So, just keep your eyes open. But today we have a special episode. So I was telling my girlfriend that I wanted to read some short stories, but I didn't really know what to read. And I was telling her that I thought the book Salem's Lot was a compilation of short stories, but it's not. So she was like, no, but I actually have something for you. It's called American Gothic Tales. So she dropped this bad boy on me. So for today's episode of Sip, Read, Repeat, I figure why not read a couple of these stories, right? So I was looking through the contents here, the table of contents, and there are a couple of stories that sound really interesting. I was gonna read The Reach by Stephen King because it's Stephen King. But then I saw something called Schrödinger's Cat, and that really caught my attention. So I want to read that. And if we have time, slash, if I'm feeling up to it, we'll do something else called Human Moments in World War III. Because the way the world is going, that just feels appropriate. But we're going to go ahead and start with Schrödinger's Cat by Ursula K. Le Guin. Lagoon. I probably said her name wrong. And she was born in 1929. Okay, Schrödinger's cat. As things appear to be coming to some sort of climax, I have withdrawn to this place. It is cooler here, and nothing moves fast. On the way here, I met a married couple who were coming apart. She had pretty well gone to pieces, but he seemed, at first glance, quite hardy. While he was telling me that he had no hormones of any kind, she pulled herself together and, by supporting her head in the crook of her right knee and hopping on the toes of the right foot, approached us shouting, "Well, what's wrong with a person trying to express themselves?" The left leg, the arms, and the trunk, which had remained lying in the heap, twitched and jerked in sympathy. "Great legs," the husband pointed out, looking at the slim ankle. "My wife has great legs." A cat has arrived, interrupting my narrative. It is a striped yellow tom with white chest and paws. He has long whiskers and yellow eyes. I never noticed before that cats have whiskers above their eyes. Is that normal? There is no way to tell. As he has gone to sleep on my knee, I shall proceed. Where? Nowhere, evidently. Yet the impulse to narrate remains. Many things are not worth doing, but almost anything is worth telling. In any case, I have a severe congenital case of Ithaca laboris peritonica, or Adam's disease. It is incurable except by total decapitation. I even like to dream when asleep and to try and recall my dreams. It assures me that I haven't wasted 7 or 8 hours just lying there. Now, here I am, lying here, hard at it. While the couple I was telling you about finally broke up, the pieces of him trotted around, bouncing and cheeping like little chicks, but she was finally reduced to nothing but a mass of nerves, rather like fine chicken wire. In fact, but hopelessly tangled. So I came on, placing one foot carefully in front of the other, and grieving. This grief is still with me. I fear it is part of me, like foot or loin or eye, or may even be myself. For I seem to have no other self, nothing further, nothing that lies outside the borders of grief. Yet I don't know what I grieve for. My wife? My husband? My children? Or myself? I can't remember. Most dreams are forgotten, try as one will to remember. Yet later music strikes the note, and the harmonic rings along the mandolin strings of the mind, and we find tears in our eyes. Some note keeps playing that makes me want to cry. But what for? I am not certain. The yellow cat, who may have belonged to the couple that broke up, is dreaming. His paws twitch now and then, and once he makes a small, suppressed remark with his mouth shut. I wonder what a cat dreams of and to whom he was speaking just then. Cats seldom waste words. They are quiet beasts. They keep their counsel, they reflect. They reflect all day, and at night their eyes reflect. Overbred Siamese cats may be as noisy as little dogs, and then people say they're talking. But the noise is farther from speech than is deep silence of the hound or the tabby. All this cat can say is meow, but maybe in his silences he will suggest to me what it is that I have lost, what I am grieving for. I have a feeling that he knows. That's why he came here. Cats look out for number one. It was getting awfully hot. I mean, you could touch less and less. The stove burners, for instance. Now I know that stove burners always used to get hot. That was their final cause. They existed in order to get hot, but they began to get hot without having been turned on. Electric units or gas rings. There they'd be when you came into the kitchen for breakfast. All four of them glaring away, the air above them shaking like clear jelly with the heat waves. It did no good to turn them off because they weren't on in the first place. Besides, the knobs and dials were also hot, uncomfortable to the touch. Some people tried hard to cool them off. The favorite technique was to turn them on. It worked sometimes, but you could not count on it. Others investigated the phenomenon, tried to get at the root of it, the cause. They were probably the most frightened ones, but man is most human at his most frightened. In the face of the hot stove burners, they acted with exemplary coolness. They studied, they observed. They were like the fellow in Michelangelo's The Last Judgment, who has clapped his hands over his face in horror as the devils drag him down to hell, but only over one eye. The other eye is busy looking. It's all he can do, but he does it. He observes. Indeed, one wonders if hell would exist if he did not look at it. However, neither he nor the people I am talking about had enough time left to do much about it. And then finally, of course, there were the people who did not try to do or think about anything at all. When the water came out of the cold water taps hot one morning, however, even when people who had blamed it all on the Democrats began to feel a little more profound unease. Before long, forks and pencils and wrenches were too hot to handle without gloves. The cars were really terrible. It was like opening the door of an oven going full blast to open the door of your car. And by then, other people almost scorched your fingers off. A kiss was like a branding iron. Your child's hair flowed along your hand like fire. Here, as I said, it is cooler. And as a matter of fact, this animal is cool. A really cool cat. No wonder it's pleasant to get his fur. Also, he moves slowly, at least for the most part, which is all the slowness one can reasonably expect of a cat. He hasn't that frantic quality most creatures acquire. All they did was zap and gone. They lacked presence. I suppose birds always tended to be that way, but even the hummingbird used to halt for a second in the very corner of his metabolic frenzy and hang, still as a hub, present, above the fuchsias, then gone again. But you know something was there besides the blurring brightness. But it got so that even robins and pigeons, the heavy, impudent birds, were a blur. And as for swallows, they cracked the sound barrier. You knew of swallows only by the small curved sonic booms that looped about the eaves of old houses in the evening. Worms shot like subway trains through the dirt of gardens among the writhing roots of roses. You could scarcely lay a hand on children by then, too fast to catch, too hot to hold. They grew up before your eyes. But then, maybe that's always been true. I was interrupted by the cat, who woke and said meow once, then jumped down from my lap and leaned against my legs diligently. This is a cat who knows how to get fed. He also knows how to jump. There was a lazy fluidity to his leap, as if gravity affected him less than it does other creatures. As a matter of fact, there were some localized cases just before I left of the failure of gravity, but this quality in this cat's leap was something quite else. I am not yet in such a state of confusion that I can be alarmed by grace. Indeed, I found it reassuring. While I was opening a can of sardines, a person arrived. Hearing the knock, I thought it might be the mailman. I miss mail very much, so I hurried to the door and said, "Is it the mail?" A voice replied, "Yeah." I opened the door. He came in, almost pushing me aside in his haste. He dumped down an enormous knapsack he had been carrying, straightened up, massaged his shoulders, and said, "Wow, how did you get here?" He stared at me and repeated, "How?" At this, my thoughts concerning human and animal speech recurred to me, and I decided that this was probably not a man, but a small dog. Large dogs seldom go, "Yah, wow, how," unless it was appropriate to do so. "Come on, fella," I coaxed him. Come on, that's a boy. Good doggy." I opened a can of pork and beans for him at once, for he looked half starved. He ate voraciously, gulping and lapping. When it was gone, he said, "Wow," several times. I was just about to scratch him behind the ears when he stiffened, his hackles bristling, and growled deep in his throat. He had noticed the cat. The cat had noticed him some time before, without interest, and was now sitting on a copy of the well-tempered clavier, washing sardine oil off his whiskers. "Wow," the dog, whom I had thought of calling Rover, barked. "Wow, do you know what that is? That's Schrödinger's cat." "No, it's not. Not anymore. It's my cat," I said, unreasonably offended. "Oh, well, Schrödinger's dead, of course, but it's his cat. I've seen hundreds of pictures of it. Erwin Schrödinger, the great physicist, you know. Oh, wow, to think of finding it here." The cat looked coldly at him for a moment and began to wash its left shoulder with negligent energy. An almost religious expression had come into Rover's face. "It was meant," he said in a low, impressive tone. "Yeah, it was meant. It can't be a mere coincidence. It's too improbable. Me with the box, you with the cat, to meet here now." He looked up at me, his eyes shining with happy fervor. "Isn't it wonderful?" he said. "I'll get the box set up right away." And he started to tear open his huge knapsack. While the cat washed his front paws, Rover unpacked. While the cat washed his tail and belly, regions hard to reach gracefully, Rover put together what he had unpacked, a complex task. When he and the cat finished their operation simultaneously and looked at me, I was impressed. They had come out even to the very second. Indeed, it seemed that something more than chance was involved. I hoped it was not myself. "What's that?" I asked, pointing to a protuberance on the outside of the box. I did not ask what the box was, as it was quite clearly a box. "The gun," Rover said with the excited pride. "The gun? To shoot the cat." To shoot the cat? Or to not shoot the cat, depending on the photon. The photon? Yeah, it's Schrodinger's great Gudon experiment. You see, there's a little emitter here. At zero time, 5 seconds after the lid of the box is closed, it will emit one photon. The photon will strike a half-silvered mirror. The quantum mechanical probability of the photon passing through the mirror is exactly 1/2, isn't it? So, if the photon passes through, the trigger will be activated and the gun will fire. If the photon is deflected, the trigger will not be activated and the gun will not fire. Now you put the cat in. The cat is in the box. You close the lid, you go away. You stay away. What happens? Rover's eyes were bright. The cat gets hungry. The cat gets shot. Or not shot, he said, seizing my arm, though not fortunately in his teeth. But the gun is silent, perfectly silent. The box is soundproof. There is no way to know whether or not the cat has been shot until you lift the lid of the box. There is no way. Do you see how central this is to the whole of quantum theory? Before zero time, the whole system on the quantum level or on our level is nice and simple. But after zero time, the whole system can be represented only by a linear combination of two waves. We cannot predict the behavior of the photon, and thus, once it has behaved, we cannot predict the state of the system it has determined. We cannot predict it. God plays dice with the world, so it is beautifully demonstrated that if you desire certainty, any certainty, you must create it yourself. How? By lifting the lid of the box, of course, Rover said, looking at me with sudden disappointment, perhaps a touch of suspicion, like a Baptist who finds he has been talking church matters, not to another Baptist as he thought, but a Methodist, or even, God forbid, an Episcopalian, to find out whether the cat is dead or not. Do you mean, I said carefully, that until you lift the lid of the box, the cat has neither been shot nor not been shot? Yeah, Rover said, radiant with relief, welcoming me back to the fold. Or maybe, both. But why does opening the box and looking reduce the system back to one probability, either live cat or dead cat? Why don't we get included in the system when we lift the lid of the box? There was a pause. How? Rover barked distrustfully. Well, we would involve ourselves in the system, you see, the superposition of two waves. There's no reason why it should only exist inside an open box, is there? So when we came to look, there we would be, you and I, both looking at a live cat and both looking at a dead cat. You see? A dark cloud lowered on Rover's eyes and brow. He barked twice in a subdued, harsh voice and walked away. With his back to me, with his back turned to me, he said in a firm, sad tone, "You must not complicate the issue. It is complicated enough." "Are you sure?" He nodded, turning. He spoke pleadingly. "Listen, it's all we have. The box. Truly it is. The box and the cat. And they're here. The box, the cat at last. Put the cat in the box, will ya? Will you let me put the cat in the box?" "No," I said, shocked. Please. Just for a minute. Just for half a minute. Please let me put the cat in the box." "Why?" "I can't stand this terrible uncertainty," he said, and burst into tears. I stood some while indecisive. Though I felt sorry for the poor son of a bitch, I was about to tell him gently, no, when a curious thing happened. The cat walked over to the box, sniffed around it, lifted his tail, and sprayed a corner to mark his territory. And then lightly, with his marvelous, fluid ease, leapt into it. His yellow tail just flicked the edge of the lid as he jumped, and it closed, falling into place with a soft, decisive click. "The cat is in the box," I said. "The cat is in the box," Rover repeated in a whisper, falling to his knees. "Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow." There was silence. Then, deep silence. We both gazed, I afoot, Rover kneeling at the box. No sound. Nothing happened. Nothing would happen. Nothing would ever happen until we lifted the lid of the box. "Like Pandora," I said in a weak whisper. I could not recall Pandora's legend. She had let all the plagues and evils out of the box, of course, but there had been something else too. After all the devils were let loose, something quite different, quite unexpected had been left. What had it been? Hope? Dead cat? I could not remember. Impatience welled up in me. I turned on Rover, glaring. He returned the look with expressive brown eyes. "You can't tell me dogs haven't got souls." "Just exactly what are you trying to prove?" I demanded. "That the cat will be dead, or not dead," he murmured submissively. "Certainty. All I want is certainty. To know for sure that God does play dice in the world, with the world." I looked at him for a while with fascinated incredulity. "Whether he does or doesn't," I said, "do you think he's going to leave you a note about it in the box?" I went to the box and with a rather dramatic gesture, flung the lid back. Rover staggered up from his knees, gasping to look. The cat was, of course, not there. Rover neither barked, nor fainted, nor cursed, nor wept. He really took it very well. "Where is the cat?" he asked at last. "Where is the box?" Here. Where's here? Here is now. We used to think so, I said. But really, we should use larger boxes. He gazed about him in mute bewilderment and did not flinch even when the roof of the house was lifted off just like the lid of the box, letting in the inconscientiable, inordinate light of the stars. Never seen that word before. He had just time to breathe. Oh, wow. I have identified the note that keeps sounding. I checked it on the mandolin before the glue melted. It is the note A, the one that drove composer Schumann mad. It is a beautiful, clear tone, much clearer now that the stars are visible. I shall miss the cat. I wonder if he found what it was we lost. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I don't think I'm smart enough to understand the story. I don't know what I understood the Schrodinger's cat thing. Like that's obviously very, very popular like saying or phrase or turn of phrase, whatever the proper way to describe it is, but this story makes no sense to me. I'm upset about it, and because of that, I'm not reading a second. If someone out there understands this story, please put it in the comments and help me understand. Yeah, because I'm confuzzled. But anyway, yeah, I'm leaving it there. So until next time, and next time we meet, we will be starting our brand new book. So once again, keep your eyes peeled for that announcement because I'm super excited for this one. I can almost guarantee that most of y'all had never even heard of this book, and you need to pay attention. But until next time, y'all, peace.